What's going on, everybody? It's Camille, Aiko. I hope that you are living the life that you love spiritually, mentally, physically, and financially. It is Tuesday night, and so we are supposed to be having a drawing tonight, but we're not going to have it tonight. We are going to have it tomorrow. But if this is the first time you getting on the live, we are going over the book, The 10X Rule by Grant Cardone, and we are on chapter, let me check what chapter we're on now. We're on chapter 16, and the title of this chapter is Fear is a Great Indicator. So if you're going to watch this live with me and you want to interact, you want to talk about fear with me on tonight, make sure you drop a 1 below. And if you, hey Jessica, I got your message, so I will respond to you. Drop a 1 if you're catching this live, and drop a 2 if you're going to watch this on replay. It's some great information. Some of the stuff, that we've been going over, I feel like it has definitely challenged us to think a little bit differently about how we are approaching our lives, how we're approaching our goals. And I think this is one of those things that is also going to challenge us. The way that Grant presents it is going to challenge us in our lives so that we can have the best life that we desire. So the 10X rule. Hey Bryant, what's going on? Wipe your camera in the front. It's a little blurry. It might actually be my lighting. So it could be the light. Is that better? Jessica, is the lighting better? Let me wipe it again. Okay. Let me know if that's better. It's probably just the light and the way the light was hitting me. But I feel like that kind of cleared it up. But let me know in the comments if I look clearer, and we can move on. If I do, let me know. Okay, perfect. So for those of you who may not know what the 10X rule is, the 10X rule is when you are applying 10 times more effort, 10 times more thought, preparing 10 times more, and then so that you can have a 10 times reality in your life, as far as whatever your dreams and your goals it is that you desire. So you're putting in more effort, you're putting in more time, you're putting in more thought, so that you can not only have what you want, but so that you can maintain what you get. Because too many times, once we reach a level of success, what then happens is we don't know how to face challenges. Sorry guys, I had to fix my chair, and since I'm turned sideways now, but we don't know how to face challenges in our lives, and so therefore we don't know how to overcome those challenges. And so all of the success that we have achieved, we end up losing because we don't know what we're up against. Like, we don't truly have a good understanding on how to face those problems, how to face those issues. Okay, and so Grant has really been challenging us on to be prepared, on thinking things all the way through, having a plan, and how to face those fears that we have in our lives, because fear can be debilitating. Fear, for many children, we've experienced fear in the form of like the boogeyman, right? Or the monster that's under our bed. And because of that, we get scared and we don't want to lay in our own bed. And as adults, we are still experiencing that syndrome, except for the boogeyman might look like the bill collector. And instead of being able to own what's going on, we're being fearful of living in the life that we desire and the life that we deserve, because we're creating these fears that don't even really exist in our mind. Like, we expect things to go one way, but really it could go a completely different way. But because we've created something in our minds, it is causing us to be stagnant. It's causing us to not even be stagnant, but just stop right altogether and just fall off. Yes, to Wednesday. Yes. Hey girl. Hey Wilbert, good evening. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump into Grant's actual thoughts, because we are here to discuss his portion of the book. So again, if you're coming in, just go ahead and drop those 1s below. So thank you to everyone who's just hopping in and dropping the 1s if you're catching this live, and then drop a 2 if you are catching this on replay. So in fact, let me get to the right page in my notes. So Grant says, you will experience fear when you start taking new actions at new levels. If you're not doing enough of the right things, then you're probably not experiencing fear. So we know that fear isn't something that we should live with. But we do know that fear does exist, right? But we know, especially as believers, that God hasn't given us the spirit of fear, but of power, of love, and a sound mind, right? So fear is there, but what we need to make sure is that we don't live in a place of fear. But the thing is when we go to unknown territories, when we step outside of our comfort zone, when we go to new levels, Chicago checking in, Wrightsville checking in, mic check one. Y'all so silly. But when fear steps in, we have to know that we have power over it. When fear begins to creep up in our life, we have to know that we have power over those fears. Okay? And so if you don't have a level of concern, once you are entering into a new phase in your life, or to a new level in your business, or into a new relationship, then maybe you're not really doing enough. Maybe you're not really stepping outside of your comfort zone enough if you don't have those concerns. But here's the thing, is you can't get stuck there, because if you get stuck in the fear or the concerns of moving to a new level, in the problems that may come with it, or the perceived problems that may come with it, then you aren't going to be able to live your life at a 10x level. You're not going to be able to get 10x results. You're not going to have the life that you deserve, because you are living in this state of fear of, I can't do this because, and you think of every reason on why you can't do it, and you come up with every excuse on why it's not going to happen for you. So it might even be like starting a business, right? I'm not going to start this business right now because, and really what Grant is even beginning to say is that the reason why you're not doing it is not because whatever the reason you're saying it is, that it's typically because there's some type of fear surrounded by the perceived notion that something is going to happen, that maybe you might fail. So it's like, okay, well, I'm not going to start my business right now because I think that I'm going to fail at it if I haven't done all of these different things. Hello, everybody who's joining in. So if you haven't been in on the conversations with me, we're studying the book, The 10X Rule by Grant Cardone. So if you're going to stay on and interact with us and catch it live, make sure you drop a 1 below. And if you're catching this on replay, drop a 2 below. And then we're supposed to be doing a drawing on tonight. We're going to actually do that tomorrow, guys. So make sure you tune in tomorrow to see who wins for the drawing. But share this video if you want to be entered into the weekly drawing for cash gift cards and free health and wellness products, okay? So this is what Grant goes on to say. An absence of concern signals that you are only doing what's comfortable for you and will only get you more of what you have right now. So if you don't have any areas where you're like, okay, I'm concerned, or, this does give me a little fear here, like it does spark a little fear, what he is saying is, that means you're just staying comfortable and it's not stretching you. And we know that you have to be stretched in order to get to that next level. We know that if you want to get a promotion on your job, then you can't just stay focused on the same things that you have been working on 5 years ago when you got into the company, right? You have to begin to function at a completely different level, which means new responsibilities, which means new problems. And if you are wanting to go to the next level, then you have to be prepared on how to deal with those problems and identify solutions so that you can get to the next level, right? So if you aren't having this where you're feeling like, okay, I've got to get out of my comfort zone, then maybe you're not doing enough. This is what Grant is telling us. If you're not willing to get outside of your comfort zone, you're not getting outside of your comfort zone, then you are not doing enough. So look at your businesses. Look at your relationships. Look at your spiritual life. Like if you are so comfortable in that, and maybe in your spiritual life, you're just doing checkmark religion, where, okay, checkmark, I went to church on Sunday, checkmark, I went to Bible study, checkmark, I read my scripture, but you're not really growing. Like you're just doing that so that you can say, yeah, I did it. Then you're not growing spiritually. Like you should be looking at some things that maybe it's like, okay, I'm going to start a prayer group, or maybe I'm going to work with the youth, or maybe I'm going to go on a missions trip. Like anything that's going to help you to grow your relationship with God, but challenge you, because otherwise you're going to stay in that same position. You're going to stay in that same area, and you will never be able to get to the next level because you are still performing and functioning at the level that you are right now. And when you function at the level that you are right now, you're going to continue to get the same results that you have right now. So if you're not happy with what you have, if you're not living the life that you love right now, then what are some things that you need to look at and address and say, you know what, fear, I'm coming against you, I'm attacking you because I own this, I dominate this, I am a force to be reckoned with, as we've been talking about. This is the mindset that we have to take when we have fear that comes up in our lives. Like we can't back down. No. Yes, it is going to be a different scene. Yeah, I'm going to have to talk to people I've never talked to before. I'm going to have to deal with things that I've never dealt with before, but I'm not backing down. You know, I even think, I've told you guys that I'm in Maryland right now, and I have a group of youth with me, and then we've partnered with other organizations. So there's 3 different groups that we have now come together and as part of this coalition that we're a part of. And, you know, just even the challenges that are coming with that, like of bringing the group here and developing this new program. Like if I want to take my youth in my experience in leadership and how to communicate with people, and anytime you bring a group of people together, you know you're going to experience different issues, right? And you have to be able to overcome them, but you can't back down and be like, you know what, they get on my nerves and I don't like people and I don't want to talk to people and this is why I don't deal with people. Like, then you're never going to go to the next level because you are fearful of what is the perceived negative consequences of the issues that are going on in your life. If you want to win, you have to face those fears head on. You have to be ready to say, you know what, I'm ready to go to the next level in my leadership because I'm working on my communication skills, because I'm working on my problem solving skills, because I'm working on being more solution oriented. And this is how I'm doing it. And when we don't do that, then you're going to continue just to play off that you just don't like people and people are always getting on your nerves, and you're going to blame it on everybody else, and you have that victim mindset, and you're not going to win. You're not going to get your 10x goals accomplished. You're not going to live the 10x life. You're going to continue to struggle. You're going to continue to be miserable, and you're not going to get that promotion, and you're not going to get that person that you want in your life, and you're not going to be able to go out and be an impact in your community because you're too busy making excuses. You're too busy being fearful. You're too busy whatever you're too busy doing, but you're not being busy enough being productive and making change. This is why we need our support system. Breaking through fear can be tough. Absolutely. It absolutely can be tough. Again, but what do you do when you don't have a support system? Do you say I don't have a support system and quit, or do you keep pushing? How do we even get through those situations where you're not fortunate enough to have a strong support system? So what do we do in those times? Because there's many people who are like, I feel like my family's not there for me. I don't feel like I have any friends. You know, there's nobody that I'm close to. And we're always out here shouting how our circle is so small, right? We're like, we don't have nobody is here for us. So if we are in that predicament, please do, pray. That's a good one. What else can we do? That if we're in a situation, keep pushing yourself. Where you don't have a support system, how do you push through to be able to conquer your fears even in the midst of that? So I think that is a great point to even be explored, and just looking at how we can overcome. There's a young lady that I met, and you know, her family life isn't all that great, and she ended up having a child at a young age, but she's a straight A student and she's keeping to push. So even in those moments where it might be, you know, I'm a young teen mother, but I'm still going to get straight A's and I'm still going to participate in school activities. Like, that could have been something where she just said, you know what, I'm fearful of what people are going to say about me and what people think about me, and quit on life and to say, okay, well, I'm going to go and I'm going to do all of these negative things in order to counter the things that have happened in my life. Like, how do we overcome that? How do we help people overcome that? Go for what we know. What do you mean by that, Tiana? Henry, come back and talk to me. How do we overcome these issues if we don't have a strong support system? Because I think when we do, of course, it's very, very, very helpful. But, you know, on the flip side of that, now that I'm thinking about it, you know, there's been times where people have a very strong support system. Like, I know someone who's very, or even I'll use my brother for an example, just because he's already shared his story. But a couple years ago, my brother tried to commit suicide. Okay, and he was very close to being successful with committing suicide. Now, to look at his life, right? He's grown up in a Christian family. All of us are very close. We talk to each other. I feel like we have a open relationship. We're there for one another. We've never, in my family, we've never had to struggle for anything. I don't have the story of living in the hood and not knowing where my next meal was coming from and having to depend on government assistance or having to pray for food. Like, I don't have that story. He doesn't have that story. So sometimes even when we have that support system, it's like the key thing in the midst of that, I think now that I'm even just thinking about it and talking about it, right? It comes down to us. It comes down to you. Like, we can't even look at, like, if we don't have a support system, if we do have a support system, at the end of the day, like, it's you. Like, you have to dig deep enough and understand why you're doing what you're doing. And you have to be walking in your purpose. And your goals have to align to your purpose, as we've been talking about, because I think, that's one of the things that was failing in my brother's life. Like, he was not walking in his purpose. He may not even understood his purpose at time. And then he allowed other things and people who were supposed to be his support system to distract him, and he did not come to the ones who truly are his support system to help him out of his situation for whatever reason. So I think, at the end of the day, it boils down to you. And if you have a strong support system, don't take it for granted. Don't just be like, okay, well, these people are here, but I'm not going to talk to them. You're not going to get through life on your own. So even though when it boils down to it's you and your decisions, you still need people to get through it, if that makes any sense. Okay, so let me come back here and read these comments. We have to listen to podcast videos that help us to start give ourselves the affirmation. Absolutely. Think about what we've been taught and apply it to the situation. Listen to motivational speeches. I've always gotten through just by praying and relying on my faith in God. I've always felt alone. Alone is how I've always survived, by just depending and counting on me, not expecting anything from anyone. Preach to us and yourself. Preaching to us, yes. Agreed. Sometimes we have to search deep and find one person who can connect with. Yes, it does. It takes, hey, what's going on, David? But that's all great input, everybody. And I just feel like, if you have a support system, use it. Use the people, and not use them as in take advantage, but use them as in they're there for a reason. So use them for their purpose. Okay? And, but at the end of the day, you have to know for you, why are you here? Dig deep. Understand your purpose, and then walk in that. Be very intentional about, I'm not doing this if it's not connecting me with my purpose, because you will find that there is emptiness there, and you will get burned out. You will get burned out if you are not doing things that align with your purpose. You're going to get burned out, and you're going to come up with reasons. Getting back to the topic of fear, you're going to come up with reasons why you are fearful of doing what it is that you are being called to do. All right. Are you Karamo's daughter? Destiny, I'm not sure who Karamo's daughter or who Karamo is, but no, I'm not Karamo's daughter, but yes. Okay. So now, Grant goes on to say that use fear as a reason to move forward rather than an excuse to stop or retreat. Can you guys hear me? They just started cleaning over here. I don't know if you guys can see them. They just started cleaning, so I don't know if you can hear me or if I need to talk louder. Be grateful for having a support system, because as what was said, some people don't. Yes, and don't take it for granted. So use fear as a reason to move forward rather than excuse to stop or retreat. Okay, thank you, Henry. So when we have fears, going back to the scripture reference that I used, that God didn't give us a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind, that when we have fears in our lives, we have to begin, like even what you said, Henry, is begin to say our affirmations, right? Begin to stand on the things that we know and the things that we believe in, so that we can overcome and combat the fears that might pop up in our lives. Okay? And you have to know these things, though, in order to say it, because otherwise you can't say it. You won't believe it, because it's one thing to say it, it's another thing to believe it, and it's another thing to walk it out. And as we talked about before, that we have to pair all three of those things together. Thank you guys for responding to letting me know that you can hear me. So fear, though, in most cases, just think about this. In most cases, the things that we have feared don't even come to pass. Like the things that we fear are really false. And so there's an acronym for fear, and it's false events appearing real. So fear is provoked by emotion, not rational thinking. So even if we go back to the example of, children being afraid of the boogeyman, right? Like this is based off of emotion. They're not thinking rationally that there is no such thing as a man that just has boogers and is after them. You know what I mean? Like, and that's how we are. Like, we feel like the bill collectors are going to come to our homes and take us to jail if we haven't paid the bill. Like, if you don't have money to pay the bill, when the bill collectors call, instead of being fearful of them, pick up the phone and say, hey, I don't have the money. Like, so either we can work out a bill plan of something that I can afford, or stop calling me. Like, that's bottom line. But so many of us spend time in fear and trying to hide and feeling like, okay, well, my life is about to be over. But your life is going to be over because that's what you have created. But if you pick up the phone and you face that fear, then you are going to be able to conquer that fear, because now you're going to know how to talk to the bill collectors. Now you're going to know, like, hey, I don't have to have $1 million to pay off this bill right now, and I'm not going to jail, and they're not going to kill me, and they're not going to have somebody after me. Because this is the mindset we have. It's like, then we become so stressed and we don't know how we're going to make it through. And then we just start spending because we're stressed about the money that we don't have. And then our lives just get worse. And it's all because of this fear that really didn't even exist. Like, what is the bill collector going to do other than say, hey, Miss Camille, you owe this money and you need to give it to me. Or maybe, the bill collectors, they talk real firm and like nasty a lot of times, right? So they might talk to you in a nasty way, but you can hang up the phone. Like, you have control over it. And then what you do is you call back on your own terms. Like, you pick up the phone, you carry on the conversation, you let them know that you are in control and not them. So maybe it's simple phone calls in your business that you need to make. Like, maybe there's clients that you haven't contacted, and you need to contact them yet, and there's a little bit fear rising up. That is an indicator that you need to just get it done and stop playing around. Like, face your fears, because God didn't give us the spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. And so if you're not operating there, then that means that you are operating in the spirit of fear, and you have to understand that if you're of God, then you shouldn't be there, okay? And certain things, it's like you just have to get up and do it. You have to take massive action. You just have to get up and take the action that it's going to take in order for you to be successful. Just one step. Everyone can just try one step and go from there. Yes, just small steps, because that's going to help to increase our confidence level. And once our confidence level is then increased, and we make that a habit of just taking the one step, then we can increase it. The next thing you know, you can really be living at the 10x level of doing 10 times more effort with 10 times more thought and 10 times more preparation to be able to have 10 times more in our lives. See, too many of us are sitting here and we never increase. See, we always just function at the same level, and that's why we're always at the same level of unhappiness. That's why we're always at the same level of being broke. That's why we're always at the same level of our bank account being in the negatives. That's why we're always at the same level of not being able to buy our kids stuff. That's why we're always at the same level of not being able to take a vacation. I could really keep going on and on and on and on, but it's because that we are not conquering our fears, and we are retreating back into our comfort zone, or we're retreating back into the perceived fears that we have, and so we're just stuck, right? Like I said earlier, we're debilitated. We can't move. We can't go anywhere. Like, fear literally begins to paralyze us. So we have to conquer our fears. Think about what your fears are. Maybe it's about having a tough discussion with your spouse. Maybe it's about having a tough discussion with your boss. I was talking to someone, and they had just started a new position. And so the person whose job they're replacing, because they're retiring, they've been kind of shadowing them here. And so, she just feels like the person who she was shadowing is kind of still too much present. Like, okay, you're retiring, back off. Like, this is my job now. Like, let me step in so that I can make the changes and I can establish the relationships that I need to establish, and I can make this position my own. And sometimes we get fearful of the conversation that we need to have, that instead of actually talking to the person you need to talk to, you're talking to everybody else. Why? Because you're fearful of whatever reaction that person might have. So you might feel like, you know, they might go off on you, or they're not going to like you afterwards. Like, we're concerned about that, but meanwhile we're suffering inside, and we don't even know, or the person that we have the problem with doesn't even know that you have a problem. Why? Because you won't face your fear. Like, some of the things in your business, some of the things on your job, some of the things in the organizations that you volunteer for, some of the things in your marriages, in your friendships, can be resolved if you would simply have the conversation that you need to have with people and face your fears. Pick up the phone, send the email, make the text message, and really I would say pick up the phone, or either have an in-person or even a video conference, so that when you're talking to them, especially if it's like you have some rights or wrongs you need to make right, so that they can see you, they can feel you, they can understand where you're really coming from. Because sometimes we have a thing of misinterpreting text messages, right? In emails, because we're reading it however we want to read it, but when you're actually looking at a person, you can feel their energy. It is received differently. Get rid of the negative thoughts and reinforce positive pep talks to yourself. I can and I will succeed. Every day, I am a force to be reckoned with. Every day, I am a winner. I am a conqueror. I am the head and not the tail. I am the lender and not the borrower, right? I shall win. I will never be broke another day in my life. I love my life, right? Money comes to me consistently and frequently in increasing quantities. Whatever those affirmations that you need to say, you say them and you believe them, and then you take the action so that it will become manifest in your life. We just want magic fairy dust to come on us and stuff to happen, and we know it doesn't work like that. Yes, it's true. Fear is probably the most crippling emotionally. Yes, but I received the scripture you quoted. Amen. Facing your fears is the only way to overcome them. Just like one must fail in order to succeed, right? We should be failing anytime that there is a failure. We should be learning from our mistakes. We learn from what has happened, and then we implement them. And that's why so many people who have failed, they succeed. Because they don't just go from failure to failure, but they learn the lessons from the failure and implement it. So even if we look at like Michael Jordan, right, who didn't make the basketball team when he was in school, but then he goes on to be one of the best players in the NBA. Or we look at the KFC that we talked about, who experienced so many failures. He had to present his idea, Colonel Sanders, right, had to present his idea 80 times before anyone caught on to it. Some of us stop at one, right? We're like there, and in fact, not only do we stop at one, but we never get to one because we're so fearful. We're fearful that people are not going to perceive us, that it's not going to be the popular view, and so we just don't do it. Like, we're so concerned about what other people think. Hey, what's going on, Otis? Yes, so taking those fears, learning from them, applying them to our lives is always key. You know, even the Walt Disneys, and I'm using them because we've been talking about them, and so I don't want to stray too far away. I just want to reiterate these people because these are big names that we know. These are big names that we hear, that we see, that we may talk about every day. This stuff didn't just happen. It happened because they faced their fears. They had to face their fears of the criticism that they knew was going to come. They had to face their fears of the people who came against them and tried to steal their ideas. They had to come against the fears of not having enough money. But know this, that if you're walking in your purpose and your calling, it's not about how much money you have. It's about the faith that you have, and it's about the faith that you take. Because as you go on your faith walk, and as you believe and trust God to do what He said He would do, trust me, the money and things will come. You just need to go. You just need to do. You know, it's funny. I was on the mission trip in Puerto Rico, and one of my goals was to increase the amount of mission trips that I was going on. And I actually had the opportunity to talk with the director. He ended up being our group lead while we were there, and he was just talking to me about coming on and actually leading some of the missions trips. Okay, and so we haven't made anything firm, but what am I saying? Because I took a leap of faith, and because I decided, this is what I want to do, and walking in my calling and walking in my purpose, doors are just beginning to open up for opportunities where I can go into communities, I can go places and begin to help people. And so, like, even being here in Maryland right now was completely like God opening doors and opportunities where now I can take this and I'm going to be able to implement programs right in my community where I can help people. And this is something that I haven't had to invest my personal money in doing. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, when you get focused on doing what it is that you want to do, and trust me guys, that's not to brag or boast or anything, not on myself, but on what God can do when you truly begin to walk in your purpose and in your calling, because you just begin to attract it. Like, people see it in you, and because they see you working and they see what it is that you are trying to do, doors just begin to open up. And it is amazing how God will just begin to align the different things when you overcome your fears. Because I could have been like, no, I don't want to do it. And I've come up with all excuses, like I'm gonna be gone for a week, and then I'm gonna have to deal, with teenagers face to face every day, all day, and I'm gonna have to watch them, and I've got to do this, and I could have come up with so many different excuses. But even being here, like, just ideas have been flowing, and things have been opening, and opportunities have been opening, and just even clarity on why certain things I keep attracting into my life. Like, why I've been asking myself, like, why is it that people keep seeking me to do filming, right? I'm like, I don't really do acting. I've done acting when I was younger, but I don't do acting, right? But people keep coming to me for filming, and being here this week has helped me to get even more clear on why those connections are happening and why those things are going on. And so you can't be afraid when opportunity comes your way. You can't be afraid to understand or find answers. Like, you have to go out here and find the answers, but you can't find the answers if you're fearful of going to do that. Like, some of us, we won't even ask questions because we're fearful of the answers. Like, what if I ask and they say no? Well, then they say no and you move on to the next. But you can't be fearful because you are afraid of what the response may be. Because even if it's no, then that doesn't mean never. Maybe it just means not right now. All right? Yes, fear of conflict. Agreed. You have hit on so many aspects of real life, especially when it comes to how people are afraid of the bills and this sort of thing. Absolutely. Every day. God is good. God is great when you understand His goodness and His greatness. Yeah, you know what? Even being here this week, y'all, I have even a better clarity of why I was led to go to college and study what I studied. I'm like, what? My degree might actually be specifically for what I went to school for. Like, I might actually use it for real. But, just God just aligning and just showing me, like, the things that you have been doing from your youth to now has all been a part of my plan and my purpose, and there is no need for fear. And this is what Grant is telling us in the book, the 10X rule, is that there is no need for fear. The only thing that you need to be focused on is making sure that your purpose is set, that your goals are aligned, and then you take action. Like, stop being lazy. Stop looking for the easy way out. Stop looking for the magic fairy dust to be poured out on you and thinking that everything is going to happen. No, you get out here, you sacrifice, you take the time, you do what you need to do so that the revelations can come, so that the ideas can flow. And that doesn't happen in your comfort zone. This happens when you step outside of your comfort zone. This happens when you have to create new problems in your life, so that you have to have a greater level of solution skills. Texting is the worst from an intimate communication. Yes. People are afraid to take the risk. How can we know what is worth the risk? One, just prayer. Then two, if it aligns, is what you're doing aligning with your purpose? You know, there was a chapter where we talked about Grant was saying that his wife is an actress, and for him, he gave her the advice, you know, anytime that you get a call, you go. And he said, you know, it may not be the role that you want. You may not always be completely prepared for it as far as, you know, in her acting skill. But he said, but you never know how one person might connect you to the next. Or even though they may not want you for that role, they'll want you for something else. But the key thing is you have to get up and go and do it. And it's got to be aligned with the purpose. So he told her, you know, take all the opportunities. But it's not just all the opportunities that anybody ever offers. This is all the opportunities that actually align with your purpose. So some of that is you have to really decipher and understand what your purpose is so that you can say, oh, okay, either I am or am not going to do this. So maybe you're no good at basketball and then somebody offers you a position to coach. Like, that's probably not something, especially if you have no interest, you have no skills, you have no talent, there's nothing there. Right? That may not be something that you want to do. Just using that as an example. But maybe then again, you know, you went into prayer and God has said, no, this is what you need to do. So for an example, let's even look at biblically, Noah, right? So God told Noah, hey, go build this ark. But he had to be in tune. So one of the things is to strengthen your relationship with God so that when he speaks, you can hear from him clearly, and then you will have the confidence to move in what it is that he's telling you to do. So Noah built this ark. He began to build it, but y'all have to understand that this was a time and period where they didn't even know what rain was. They hadn't experienced rain where they were. So here is Noah telling people that there's water that's going to be coming and it's going to flood, and y'all need to get right. And y'all need to come on and help me build this ark. Right? Y'all need to live right. And they're like, Noah, you are crazy. There ain't no rain. Like, we don't have rain. Ain't no flood coming here. No water is about to fill our space. Right? This is what Noah's, and of course this is my terminology, right? But Noah's like, nope. We're going to build this ark. We're going to do it the way God told me to, because I believe God, and it's going to happen, right? And so when you get close in your relationship with God to be able to hear him, even in the things where it may look like, hold on, wait a second. Like, I'm a business person. Why you got me building an ark? Even in those moments where it seems to be no correlation, like it's completely different, you'll begin to hear God differently. You'll be able to trust his word. You'll be able to then act and do what it is and what he has called you to do. Okay, so hopefully that helps. And if you're not a believer, get to know him. Believe. A no is getting closer to a yes always. What did I study? I studied sociology and anthropology, which was applied cultural studies. And so I did study abroad programs, but really just going into different places and studying the people and then coming up, identifying solutions on how they can overcome problems in their organizations, in their companies, and things of that nature. That's what I studied, Henry. And then I started getting my master's in adult education and training. Thinking worldly is not an option at this point. Yes, your degree, if you want to share. Okay, I'm sorry I was late, but I just did. So hopefully that clarified. Yes, our steps are ordered. Amen. Facts. Okay, I should have built an. So, okay, let me go to the book here. So hopefully you guys are getting this. I know that I'm doing a lot of personal sharing and things, but I think we've had good discussion on tonight so far. Let me see. Fear. Okay. I'm trying to find the place in the book that I want to pick up reading from. All right. So when... Nope. Oh, I like this point he said. He said, time drives fear. So when we put off on the things that we know that we're supposed to be doing, like when we put off facing the fears that we have, then time is only going to make it worse. He says the more you devote to the object of your apprehension, the stronger it becomes. So starve the fear of its favorite food by removing time from its menu. So the more you give it time, that means you're going to start thinking about it more. That means you're going to start worrying about it more. You're going to start stressing about it more. And then it's just going to stop you in your tracks. Okay, so now he gives an example, okay, and I'm just going to read this example so you guys bear with me. He says, let's say that John needs to make a call to a client, a task that immediately causes him to feel anxiety. So let's say you're a business owner, you have to make a phone call. But when he thinks about calling this specific client, he's all nervous, right? So rather than picking up the phone and making the call immediately, he gets a cup of coffee and thinks about what he is going to do. His lengthy contemplation only causes fear to grow as he imagines all the ways the call could go badly and all the potentially terrible things that could happen. So how many times have you were supposed to be doing something, but you decided that you weren't going to do it because you thought about it too long? Like, well, I'm not going to go out here and I don't know, cut the grass because it might rain, it might snow, there might be an anthill, all the deer might come through. Like, we come up with all of these reasons on why we're not going to do something, and then it stops us, right? And then we're fearful of those things happening, okay? So maybe that example you weren't fearful of, but those are just excuses that come up the longer that you wait to do something, okay? Now, let me get back to what he says. If confronted, he's likely to claim that he needs to prepare before he makes the call. But preparation is merely an excuse for those who haven't trained properly. So, and he doesn't mean all preparation, because we've even talked about and discussed in the book of 10 times more prepared, because you've thought about it, you've created a plan, right? And so you've now created these habits. But what he's saying is prepared, like literally it's in quotes. Prepared, like I've got to get prepared for it. You don't need to get prepared for it, you just need to pick up the phone and make the call, right? Okay, so but preparation is merely an excuse for those who haven't properly trained and who use it as a reason to justify their last minute reluctance. So sometimes we're supposed to be doing stuff and we're not doing it, and it's just the last minute reluctance. It's because we're scared, it's because we don't want to face whatever it is that the other person is going to say on the other end, and we just can't be that way. And I mean, I can think of so many things. I'm not going to go all into it for the sake of tonight, and it's almost going on 1 o'clock where I'm at. But you know, just again, that preparation, you know, how many times we said we need to get ready. I know I'm going to do it, but I just need to get this together. Yeah, I'm going to do it, but I just need to get that together. But it's really that there's a perceived fear of failing, and so you're just not doing it. Like, you're continuing to put it off, because it's almost like this too. I see it in church where people will be like, well, yeah, you know, I'm gonna come to church as soon as I get my life right. Really, it's not about the thing of getting your life right, because if you could get your life right on your own, you would have already gotten your life right. So the thing is that you're actually afraid of getting in there and then failing at getting your life right. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, stop sinning, stop doing these things that are wrong and sinning against God. And so we're fearful of that happening. So it's not really about coming in and I'm going to get my life right after I get X, Y, and Z done. No, that's an excuse on why you won't come. Okay? Or it might be a fear that your life is going to change. Because, yeah, when you decide to change your life, there are going to be people who fall off. There are going to be people who don't want to be around you anymore. When you take your life up to the next level and other people want to stay at a lower level, then yeah, they're not going to be in your life anymore. And you just have to accept that. But sometimes we get fearful of the fact, like, hey, you know what? If I move to the next level, then I'm gonna lose some friends. Like, if I move to the next level, then people may not want to be around me like that anymore. If I move to the next level, then there might be some things that I might have to sacrifice. There might have to be some relationships that I give up. Not that others won't want to be around me, but I'm gonna have to personally make the choice that I can't be around you anymore. There might be some things that I can't do anymore that my friends do. You know, like going out and clubbing and all that. Yeah, I used to do that back in the day. But when I began to really take my life seriously with God, I'm not saying y'all going to hell. I'm just saying I personally had to take my life to the next level in my relationship with God to the next level. Because as I began to think about the times and what I was doing when I was out there just clubbing and being just ornery and being disobedient, right? Like, that had nothing to do with God. It was getting me nowhere closer to my goals. It was getting me distracted. You know what I mean? Like those were my dramatic days where it was drama every weekend. If I wasn't seeking drama, drama was seeking me, right? And then I began to just think about the lyrics of what I was listening to and what I was singing. Like, why am I listening to these people call me a bitch, hoe, whore, and all this other stuff? Like, why am I putting that into my system? And why am I allowing someone else to do that to my queens and kings? Like, why does that make any sense? Why am I allowing this stuff to just objectify me? Like, I'm just this piece of meat, right? And not only was the music doing it, but then I was actually living out what the music was saying in some areas. You know what I mean? So even if it was just I'm coming out and I'm being more revealing in my clothes, but why am I doing that? For my girls? No, I'm not doing that for my girls. No, because I wanted the man to look at me. Y'all get what I'm saying? Like, I'm not out here doing this for females. I don't go that way. You know what I mean? So we can say, oh, what we doing is do it just so that we can look sexy and we can feel whatever. Honey, listen. Don't fool yourself, because we're not fooled. Okay? So yeah, you might go out and feel good, but then you feel even better, don't you? When that man gives you that compliment. But don't let him touch you, because then you're going to be mad. Like, why you touch me? Just because I got this on don't mean, well, honey, we don't know what you mean. Because you just out here being disrespectful. And I can say that because I'm a woman, and I was out there at one point and just doing what I wanted to do and not caring. Oh, I got a little tangle. That hurt. I thought I was going to just smoothly come through. It didn't work like that. Yes, thank God those days are over. You know, but we get into these places of just living a fear of that I have to give up something. Like we live in fear that we're going to have to sacrifice something in order to get something higher. And so we'd rather retreat back to our comfort zone because we are fearful. We are absolutely fearful. The get what? Nah, I'm not gonna say it tonight. So you know what, Wilbur? I don't even know what that meant, but I'm sure you hating. Don't hate. But yeah, you know, we get fearful of what we're gonna lose and what's gonna happen in our lives that we don't give up different things. Okay, and truth of the matter is if you want to go to the next level, you're going to have to sacrifice. There are going to be things that you give up. There are going to be things that you have to be more bold about. There are going to be some things that you gain, whether it's responsibility. Like, it's crazy. Like, me and my girls, we still cool, but we not nearly as cool as we used to be when we used to club every weekend. Like, that was our thing together, and our lives have changed. When I decided to change, our lives changed as far as how our interactions go. And that's just the way it is sometimes. Do I still love them to pieces? Absolutely. But our lives change. There are certain things that they just don't even invite me to because they know Camille ain't going. Like, Camille ain't participating. And I ain't mad. You know, but sometimes we can get to a place where we're fearful that people aren't going to invite us anywhere. Like, I'm not going to be cool. I'm not going to be associated with. I'm not going to be popular. Like, listen, you want to go to the next level? Forget all that. You have to, and this again goes back to why you need to know what your purpose is so that your goals align with your purpose and you can walk that thing out. Ghetto. Oh. You look really tired. Need your beauty. Absolutely, girl. I've been going. So after I get off here, I will be getting my beauty rest. I don't know if it's going to be effective though because we got to get up early. But you know, this is what it takes. That could even be a fear, right, of why we don't do stuff. Just to use that as an example, like, well, I'm not going to be able to get enough sleep. Listen, sometimes you have to sacrifice your sleep in order to accomplish the goals that you need and want to accomplish. But, Wilbert, you agreeing? I am, y'all. I am tired. Okay, so let's move on to the next thing. Okay, so we give our fears much more time than they deserve. So stop thinking about stuff. Some stuff, y'all just need to go ahead, knock it out, get it done, and leave it alone. Like, it is what it is. Stop giving time to your fears. So I'm just going to kind of go through some bullet points now, all right? All excuses in the world won't change the fact that fear is a sign to go out and do whatever it is that you're afraid of. When you feel like you're afraid, conquer it. You're afraid to go downstairs in the dark, get up and go downstairs in the dark. Conquer it. Turn on a light. Right? If you're fearful of doing certain things, conquer it. God has not given us the spirit of fear. God did not give me a spirit of fear. God did not give me a spirit of fear. God did not give you a spirit of fear. God did not give you a spirit of fear. You conquer that thing. Fear comes up, knock it out. How can you resolve it? How can you overcome it? How can you conquer it? I've sold all my toys preparing for next level. Let's do it, Brian. Put that T on there because I forgot to. All right. The next thing, whatever it is you fear, and do it quickly. Conquer it and conquer it quickly. So whatever it is you fear, do it quickly. Just conquer it quickly. The next thing, or maybe it might be money owed, right? Maybe you're afraid of somebody because you owe them money. Now, and I'm not just talking about a bill collector. Like this might be like a friend or family member you borrowed some money from. You want to make sure that when you owe them money and you haven't paid it yet, stop avoiding them. Stop trying to ignore their calls and their text messages, or you see them at church, or you see them at the family function, you ducking and you dodging. Hey, if you don't have it, come up with a plan on how you are going to get it, stick to it, and then let them know what the plan is so that you don't burn that relationship, that you don't ruin that relationship because of your fear of what they're going to say to you because you don't have their money. Okay? Just go to them, talk to them, let them know what the situation is and how you plan to fix it so that you don't have to be fearful of what it is that they're going to say, and you don't have to sit here and run around like you are, running from the po-po, hiding out. You get what I'm saying? Like, stop being fearful, guys. Stop being fearful. Maybe it's an apology that you need to give somebody. Stop being fearful. The guy behind you thinks you're talking to. Some of them have. There have been people. There's an escalator over here on the side of me, and there's these two girls who walk by like, who is she talking to? Like, all this. They're so confused. I need to put a sign like Facebook Live in progress. Okay. So the other thing is take massive action quickly and repeatedly to remove fear. Like, allow taking massive action against your fears to conquer your fears. Make it a habit. So that way it doesn't take a whole lot of time for you to get it done. Like, that way, that's how you reduce the time, because we know that time reduces or increases fear, right? Time is what feeds fear. So if we take massive action, we get it done, we knock it out, boom, it's over, we create that as a habit, then that's how you come to a place where you're not living in a state of fear, but you can say that God has not given me the spirit of fear, and that you're actually walking that out, and it's not just the scripture that you read in the Bible, but it's actually something that you live out in your life. Do not give time to fear, but face the fears, and not only face them, but face them quickly and face them with massive action. Go above and beyond. Even if you owe somebody money right now, you owe somebody $100, instead of paying them back $100, pay them back $200, just for the sake that this lady cleaning this window just startled me. Okay. But, go above and beyond, because we're talking about the 10X rule. Let them know, like, hey, I'm sorry that it took me this long to get the money back to you, but I do appreciate it. And then that way, that also helps them in the relationship. And who doesn't like to get an extra $100 unexpectedly? Or even if it's $150, like, give them something a little extra just to let them know that you appreciate them. And then stick to your plan that you've told them about how you're going to pay them back the money that you owe. Right? I think that's a lady. Listen, whoever, it was a lady who just scared me, by the way. God has not given me a spirit of fear, but she really caught me off guard. I didn't see her go over there. But, okay, fear is one of the most disabling emotions a human being can experience. It stops you from going after dreams and goals. When you have fears, you're just like, you know what, I can't do it. Like, people are going to talk about me. And that's one of the key things. Like, we're always so worried about what everybody else thinks, and they don't even have any ideas of their own. Like, they can't even come up with a pot to pee in, and we're worried about what they're saying. Like, we got to stop that. Go talk to some people who are actually accomplishing something in their lives. Like, run your ideas by them. But stop talking to these low-level people who aren't going to understand where you're coming from and your desire to do better and your desire to be better. Because a lot of people don't want that. And so you can't stop your life from fear of what these mediocre, average people are thinking. That's simple, okay? So the last thing that I'm going to say tonight is I just want to read this last paragraph in the book to you all. It says, eat your fears. Don't feed them by backing off or giving them time to grow. Learn to look for and use fear so that you know exactly what you need to do to overcome it and advance your life. Every successful person I know has used fear as an indicator to determine which actions will provide the greatest return. I use it in my own life every chance I get to remain aware that I am growing and expanding myself. If you aren't experiencing fear, you are not taking new actions and growing. It's that simple. It does not take money or luck to create a great life. It requires the ability to move past your fears with speed and power. God has not given us fear, but He has given us the spirit of love and a sound mind, right? Power, love, and a sound mind. It does not take money or luck to create a great life. It requires the ability to move past your fears with speed and power. Fear, like fire, is not something from which you should pull away. Rather, it should be used to fuel your actions for life. So take your fears, face them, and let them fuel your actions for your life. Know that you are a conqueror. Know that you are an overcomer. Know that God has given you the power to do whatever it is that you want to do, that with Him all things are possible. Conquer your fears. Conquer your fears. Face your fears. Don't allow them to hold you back. Don't allow them to allow you to be, yes, amen, eat them all. Yeah, don't allow them to hold you back. Don't allow them to make you retreat back to your comfort zone. So guys, this is my time on tonight. Make sure you drop the 1 if you stayed on here live with me and you haven't already done so. Drop a 2 if you're catching this on replay, and be sure to share this video. Again, I apologize, I did not do the drawing on tonight, but we will be sure to do that on tomorrow. So that drawing is going to help your friends, your family with this information, but it's also going to put you in for a chance to win money and gift cards and free health and wellness products. So my name is Camille Aiko. Thank you again so much for getting on here, guys. I hope that you all are living the life that you love spiritually, mentally, physically, and financially. Good night, guys. Bye.